Before Columbus ever crossed the Atlantic, before the first English colony rose on the eastern shores, a vast and ancient world thrived across the lands we now call the Americas. From icy tundras to sun-scorched deserts, from the Great Plains to the dense forests of the East, millions of people lived, dreamed, worshipped, and built civilizations, long before the birth of the United States. This is the untold beginning of American history, the story of the ancient Americas. Our journey begins over 30,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age. Massive glaciers covered much of the northern world. Sea levels dropped, revealing a frozen land bridge connecting Siberia and Alaska, the Bering Land Bridge, or Beringia. Across this passage, small bands of hunter-gatherers followed herds of mammoth, bison, and caribou into a vast and uncharted continent. For generations, they migrated southward, spreading through forests, mountains, and plains. They built fires under northern skies, crafted stone tools, and adapted to every landscape they found. These were the first Americans, explorers of a world untouched by humankind. By 10,000 BCE, they had reached every corner of the continents, from Alaska to Patagonia. Archaeologists still uncover traces of their lives, spearheads buried in tundra ice, footprints fossilized in desert clay, and cave paintings whispering stories of forgotten hunts. As the Great Ice Age ended and the mammoths disappeared, survival demanded change. Communities began to experiment with farming, slowly transforming from nomads into settlers. Around 7000 BCE, in what is now Mexico, people cultivated maize, beans, and squash, crops that would feed empires for millennia. Villages grew along fertile river valleys. Families built clay homes, crafted pottery, and began to trade obsidian, shells, and jade. This was the agricultural revolution of the Americas, a transformation that laid the foundation for civilization. In the north, tribes along the Mississippi, Ohio, and Missouri rivers developed complex trade routes. In the south, early societies in Mesoamerica began to construct ceremonial centers and temples. Humanity had found its rhythm, and with it, the heartbeat of culture. Long before European cathedrals or skyscrapers, enormous monuments already stood across North America. The mound builders, ancient cultures like the Adena, Hopewell, and later the Mississippians, shaped the land into vast ceremonial centers. Between 1000 BCE and 1500 CE, they built thousands of earthen mounds, some shaped like serpents, others like pyramids. The greatest of all was Cahokia, near present-day St. Louis, a city of more than 20,000 people, surrounded by wooden palisades, temples, and plazas. At its heart stood Monk's Mound, a four-tiered pyramid rising 100 feet high, the largest earthwork ever built in North America. Traders arrived from distant lands, bringing copper from the Great Lakes, shells from the Gulf, and obsidian from the Rockies. Cahokia was a metropolis, with leaders, priests, astronomers, and farmers, a civilization equal to any in the Old World. Yet by the 14th century, the city was abandoned. Whether by famine, warfare, or climate change, its people vanished, leaving behind only silent mounds and mysteries that archaeologists still struggle to explain. In the arid deserts of the Southwest, other civilizations flourished. The ancestral Puebloans, once called the Anasazi, carved their world into stone. In the high cliffs of Mesa Verde, they built multi-story homes of sandstone, tucked safely into canyons. In Chaco Canyon, they constructed massive complexes aligned perfectly with the sun and moon, proof of advanced astronomical knowledge. Their neighbors, the Hohokam, turned desert into farmland. They engineered hundreds of miles of irrigation canals, feeding crops of corn and cotton under the burning Arizona sun. The Mogollon people crafted pottery of astonishing beauty, decorated with geometric patterns that still inspire modern artists. These civilizations lived in harmony with nature, their architecture, agriculture, and spirituality woven into the land itself. When drought struck in the 13th century, many migrated south or joined other tribes, leaving behind ruins that still stand as ghostly reminders of their brilliant. Far to the east, in the forests stretching from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic coast, new societies emerged. These were the Iroquois, Cherokee, Algonquian, and Shawnee peoples, hunters, farmers, and warriors who lived close to rivers and lakes. They cultivated maize, beans, and tobacco, and their longhouses sheltered extended families under one roof. But what set them apart was their system of governance. The Iroquois Confederacy, founded centuries before Columbus, united 5 powerful nations, the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca, under one Grand Council. They practiced collective decision-making, respecting the voices of women and elders. Their great law of peace would later influence the democratic ideals of America's founding fathers, an echo of ancient wisdom shaping a modern nation. Between the Rocky Mountains and the Mississippi River stretched a vast sea of grass, the Great Plains. Here, countless herds of bison roamed, and life revolved around their migration. Tribes like the Lakota, Comanche, and Pawnee became masters of the hunt. Long before horses arrived from Europe, they tracked bison on foot, using every part of the animal, meat for food, hides for shelter, bones for tools. Their nomadic lifestyle demanded skill, endurance, and spiritual connection with nature. They saw the earth as sacred, the sky as living, and the animals as kin. Their oral traditions, passed down through generations, carried the memory of their ancestors and the rhythm of the plains. Along the rugged coasts of the Pacific Northwest, from Alaska to California, stood mighty cedar forests, home to the Tlingit, Haida, and Chinook peoples. They built enormous wooden houses and carved towering totem poles that told stories of lineage, courage, and myth. The ocean was their lifeline. They fished salmon, hunted whales, and traded across vast waterways. Their art, intricate masks, canoes, and sculptures, reflected both beauty and power. Farther north, the Inuit and Aleut peoples thrived in the Arctic's frozen wilderness. They built igloos, hunted seals and walruses, and crafted tools from bone and ivory. Against impossible odds, they mastered one of the harshest environments on Earth. By the time Christopher Columbus set sail in 1492, the Americas were already a living mosaic of cultures. More than 500 distinct nations thrived, each with unique languages, beliefs, and ways of life. There were empires of stone in the south and vast tribal networks in the north. Cities like Cahokia and Chaco Canyon had risen and fallen long before the first European ship appeared on the horizon. The people of the Americas had shaped their world with ingenuity, spirituality, and deep respect for the land. But soon, this ancient world would face its greatest test. Disease, conquest, and colonization would sweep across the continent, changing it forever. The next chapter of American history would begin with sails on the horizon, and a clash of worlds that would reshape humanity itself. This was the forgotten beginning of America, a world of cities, empires, and nations erased by time. In the next episode, we journey into the age of exploration, when Spanish, French, and English explorers crossed the ocean and encountered this ancient world for the first time. Subscribe to learn history, and join us as we uncover the truth behind the birth of American.